In a time where we often see these large studios, large development teams, individuals at the head of these large development teams come out and attack their fans and potential customers due to their political beliefs, their ideologies, however they feel about the current social climate, you would expect that from people like Ubisoft and Sony, but you know where you don't usually expect it? Indie devs. You want to know why you don't expect that from indie devs? Because they do not have an option but to try and cater to everybody and keep their mouths shut. Indie games are inherently going to have a smaller audience pool because they don't have the mass marketing budgets, they don't have the way to get the word out to as many people as possible as effectively as these big corporations. So when you've got indie devs out there trashing what is probably half, if not more than half, of the player base slash customer base, yeah, you're in for a bad time. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and yeah, if you hadn't heard, Wrong Organ Studio co-founder laments discovery of mouthwashing by the anti-woke crowd. Says anti-woke means anti-gay, means anti-me as a dev. We're gonna clear this up right now. Anti-woke, as cringe as that term is, because let's be real, anything and everything is either woke or anti-woke nowadays. It's actually really annoying. But anti-woke never has, never will mean anti-gay. And if you want some further proof, just think of all these things that are celebrated by quote-unquote anti-woke gamers. We love League of Legends and Vi as a character. Almost everyone's favorite Overwatch character is Tracer. What about X-Men 97? Arguably the most celebrated Marvel project since Endgame, made by Beau DeMayo, a gay man who we sang the praises of. Why? Because he honored the source material, which is all that we have ever truly really cared about. So when you've got this innate ideology in your head that of what anti-woke is, or maybe you're spinning yards, maybe you're just so upsetty spaghetti about the current state of the world that you're willing to throw half of your player base to the wayside and potentially ruin your indie game because you can't help but open your mouth on Twitter, I don't know what to say to you. I mean, look, I ain't played mouthwashing. In fact, until a couple days ago with this controversy, I hadn't even heard of mouthwashing. That's because you're an indie game. I mean, you don't have, like I said earlier, that large sort of development and marketing capabilities. So when you've got somebody out there like Asmongold who is giving you effectively free advertisement, and your ideology trumps the potential sales that could come from his millions upon millions of viewers, as, oh, anti-woke means anti-gay, which is inherently incorrect anyway. I don't understand how you could still have a job at this point. So yeah, we're gonna get into this article. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day, and this situation is baffling to me, again, because of the way that anti-woke is being portrayed. And again, anti-woke I find pretty cringe, but I don't know, I've never once considered anti-woke to be anti-gay. Like, that's never been the case. So, according to Wrong Organ co-founder Martin Halden, the discovery of the studio's latest game, Mouthwashing, by the anti-woke crowd due to its recent fan art controversy is one of the worst developments that could have befallen the indie title, as he believes anyone who holds such views is anti-gay and thus anti-me as a dev. And by the way, for those of you that aren't caught up on this situation, this scenario, yes, it's because of fan art. There's a character, and we'll get into it in the article, but here's the long and the short of it. There's a character in this video game. By the way, you can't exactly tell how attractive or unattractive the characters are because it's made with that very old school PlayStation 1 style of views. You know, it's very blocky, it's very polygonal, it's very like shaded in an odd way. Very reminiscent of like old school Resident Evil, for example, or Dino Crisis. So when you got fans that do fan art, they liven him up a bit, and in this case, they decided to make this character sexy, kind of like fan artists have been doing since the inception of fan art. Rule 34 has existed, honestly, since well before the internet was around to name it Rule 34. Like, look, as a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, I have seen so many just disgusting, gross, awful depictions of Sonic characters, and these, frankly, just infected-looking pieces of art. But I will never sit there and say that these degenerates can't draw that art, because who am I to put my personal beliefs onto them? I just, like an adult, won't consume that godforsaken content. But again, that's not how this guy operates. That's not how so many of these ex-police operate on the internet. No, you need to make sure that the art that you're doing coincides with what the moral understanding and the moral grandstanding of those who politically and ideologically agree with you or disagree with you in many instances has to say. It frankly is disgusting, and I've never actually seen fan art, or at least not in a long time, seen fan art cause such a problem, because let's be real, fan art is mostly relegated just to X, maybe like sites like DeviantArt, those are still a thing, and those that consume that sort of content. It's not like it's a mainstream business or something. As previously reported, Mouthwashing is a first-person adventure game set against the backdrop of the deep space wherein players are put into the role of various crew members aboard the Tulpar, a transport freighter which has crash-landed on a remote planet during a routine delivery run. Having survived the initial incident, the player and other members of Tulpar's 5-person team band together in hopes of surviving, but unfortunately, the darker impulses of certain crewmates soon cause everything to spiral into a pit of social and psychological tension. Interesting. Sounds like a cool idea for a game. I'm a horror fanatic. I play games like Silent Hill, Outlast, Resident Evil. That's my bread and butter. You got me interested with the little description here. Too bad this dev decided to open his damn mouth and ruin it, and now I will probably never support this game. Great job. You lost a customer. You lost a sale. By the way, this anti-woke outlet bounding in the comics is covering your game, and the game itself, they're covering in a positive light. Are you so upset that an anti-woke outlet, again, if that's what you want to call it, is covering your game in a positive light? Or would you, as a developer, would you, as the leader of an indie corporation, an indie company that's just trying to get your game out there, want to say, you know what? Thanks for the praise. I'm glad that we were able to create something that reaches out to a large swath of individuals as opposed to just, one side of the aisle. By the way, the side of the aisle that very rarely spends their money in actually buying and supporting these projects, but that's neither here nor there. Following the release of the game on September 26th, a number of its players quickly found themselves gravitating towards the Tulpar's lone female member, Anya, with her Shelley Duvall-inspired appearance, genuinely caring nature, and attempts to deal with her own suffering, leading her to become Mouthwashing's standout character. By the way, look at that! A bunch of anti-woke individuals who are supposedly anti-women, if you believe some of what the idiots on the left say, are finding themselves gravitating towards the lone female character. You wanna know why? Because female characters are awesome. Anti-woke individuals don't hate female characters, they hate poorly written ones. We don't hate gay characters, we hate characters whose sexuality is being used as their only sort of selling point. I'm wearing a goddamn One Piece shirt. Do you know how many homo-ass characters in One Piece? So many of them awesome. Ivanka is awesome, but yeah, no, go ahead and just lump everything anti-woke. I hate women, I hate blacks, I hate gays. You know what? No, you're retarded. You're absolutely retarded, and you're ruining your studio with your perception of this. Do you think that us anti-wokers think everyone on the left is the same? That all Democrats are evil? No, that would be insane. We would be doing the exact same thing to you that you do to us, which is make these broad generalizations that don't actually reflect either side of the aisle, don't reflect everybody's ideology, and in turn makes you look like an absolute moron. We try not to do that. We would like to play the game, to learn about whatever these characters are, these stories are. If we were like, I took the L on X-Men 97. I thought that game, I thought that show was going to suck because Bo DeMayo had said some dumb shit about it being, about Morph being non-binary when non-binary didn't even exist in 97. And then the show comes out, and then frankly, I got ratioed to oblivion even before the show came out in my comment section. And I took the L. I was wrong. So many of us are wrong. And that's a good feeling. We want to be wrong. But what we don't want is idiots like you preaching and pandering and being upset that potential customers found your game. Do you have no sense of business? Is your moral grandstanding more important than making money so that you can maybe go on to make a bigger and better game that even more people can find and love and support? Unfortunately, a number of these illustrations, particularly those that show the Tulpar's resident medic with well-defined female features, i.e., titties, drew the ire of the game's more activism-oriented player base, who poured out in droves to chastise and in many cases outright harass the artists for their view. Look, we all know where that is going in terms of, the controversy around fan art, but here's the dealio. Wrong Organ, the company behind the game, had a pretty solid take on the matter. Some mouthwashing fan creators have been receiving harassment over works that others have found distasteful. If you see fan works that you do not like, block/ignore it. Any form of harassment is unacceptable. If you can't be respectful and considerate, this fandom is not the place for you. Bingo, bango, bongo, look at that. That is how you do it. Hey, folks are making fan art on both sides of the aisle with different thoughts on, how they want to draw these characters. Just let them be. If you don't like it, move on. That's the way adults handle things. That's the way it should be done. How many of these individuals throwing a fit about these big-tittied artist renditions do you think are 15-year-olds that shouldn't be on X in the first place? But for whatever reason, we live in this society that allows children to have opinions on ridiculous shit like this. But the point is, Wrong Organ handled this the exact proper way. Move on, be adults, everyone enjoy the game. But that's not what the actual homeboy who works at Wrong Oregon thought. The anti-woke crowd has found the game, and I feel sick to my fucking stomach. Being on Twitter is going to be unbelievably painful from now on. I didn't care if I'm going to be active on here. I don't have the energy. Then move the fuck to Blue Sky. Go on over to Blue Sky so you can be in your leftist echo chamber, your leftist bubble. I hear there's a lot of promotion of certain types of videos that have to do with children that aren't exactly legal all over Blue Sky. The kind that the kind of video that your types tend to gravitate towards. So, you know what? Go for it. If you feel like you can't be active on Twitter, if you're not adult enough to take your own corporation's advice, which is just move on, then get out. We don't need you. We don't want you. Jesus Christ, you are everything wrong with gaming, and you're not even AAA. That's why when people say, oh, AAA needs to be dealt with, indie is the future. Indie is not the future. Indie has never been the future because indie does not inherently mean politically free, agenda free, because you've got individuals like this. Commission's Oatman says he seemed interested in the game and said he'd play it after hearing about the controversy. So I'd say the more people experiencing your art, the better, even if you don't like them. Bingo, bango, bongo, once again, this is a very rational take. I don't want... look, I don't like hardcore leftists. I don't like communists. I don't like socialists. That being said, if a socialist, commie, leftist, whatever, gets into Resident Evil and does the impossible, which is keep their goddamn mouth shut and just enjoy the game and not try and change everything or claim that Jill Valentine's secretly a lesbian or whatever. If they just want to get into Resident Evil and enjoy the story, by all means, more power to them. I'm just glad there are folks getting into a series that I love. It all changes when they start to want to worm their worldview and their ideology and force certain things to happen within the community. Okay, pump the brakes. That ain't cool, baby bird. That being said, that's not what seems to be happening here, at least thus far, except with this Martin individual who works for the company. Anti-woke means anti-gay, means anti-me as a dev. Shut the fuck up. We do not care if you suck cock. We care if you made a good game. Shut the fuck up about sucking cock in relation to anything to do with your game, and we will be A-okay. We'll be right as rain, good as gravy. It could be the bee's knees and all these other weird little phrases that we like to throw around. The fact of the matter is, the key point is shut the fuck up. I've seen that dance many times before. If you've seen that dance many times before, then why was X-Men 97 a success? Why is One Piece, which is honestly legitimately progressive, not left-leaning I would say, but progressive, why is One Piece the biggest selling anime/manga in the world? Why did everybody again love League of Legends? You haven't seen this song and dance before. You are an ideologue, and your ideology is going to crash and burn your company. Congratulations, Martin. I do not want him playing it regardless of exposure because it's making me feel like absolute shit. You selfish prick! It's making you feel like shit? Who gives a fuck about you? Hot take. Once you put your art out there into the wild, it's no longer yours. You don't get to have opinions on it. When an artist writes a song and that song gets played on the radio and it makes people feel a certain way, it might not be what the song is actually about, but you don't have control over that anymore. You don't get to sit there and decide what is and isn't the right way to appreciate the song. Same goes for art in an art museum. Hey, the artist might have been feeling one type of way when they drew this bloody heart and this deep, dark, evil, black background, but if that brings some sort of joy and comfort to another individual viewing it in the museum, then by God, it just means your art is resonating with somebody. But you are so selfish, you are so sick in the head, you are so narcissistic that you would be willing to put millions of people's potential enjoyment off to the wayside, as well as who knows how much money in sales for the game off to the wayside, because it makes you feel bad in your little fifi parts. You fucking loser. And this is where we're at. This is why indie gaming is not inherently the future. This is why supporting projects, regardless of where it comes from, that actually does just uphold the idea of let's make something that sells regardless of political ideology. That's really the important part. Indie, AAA, it really doesn't matter at that point. Also, this is a big advertisement, and companies needing to tell your employees, shut the fuck up. If you represent us on the internet, then you know what? Keep things to the down. I don't care if you're a hardcore right-winger or a left-winger. Don't have fucking stupid opinions that could trounce the game on the internet, or you can go ahead and get fired. Like, by all means, free speech, say whatever you want to say, I'm down for it, but you should not have a job if what you are saying is putting your job at risk. And now, I think that in the vast majority of cases, most of what people say won't put the job at risk, won't put the company at risk. But when you're actively out there saying, I don't want half, if not more than half the populace buying this game because I disagree with them, Yeah, that does actually put your job in the business as a whole at risk, because people are going to listen to that. People are going to respond to that. We've seen it happen. Gamers ruined Concord. They ruined Dustborn, rightfully so. They praised and uplifted Hogwarts Legacy. Gamers and really customers in general have a lot of power, and you are really testing the waters with this because your fifis are hurt that the streamer that doesn't clean his room is going to play the game. Get the fuck out of here. Those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word, and please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news almost every day. I say almost every day because I've been taking some time off lately, but I saw this controversy and I just absolutely had to talk about it. That being said, go ahead and check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon and become a member for $5 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the articles I go over on the day-to-day basis, choose videos I react to when I do reaction portions of certain live streams, and of course get involved with over 140 other vital idols. We're a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further because we do care about diversity. Only one kind of diversity, diversity of thought. If that's interesting to you, join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.